Hello, I hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to do kind of an open letter video to all you Trump supporters that are still out there hanging on to whatever threat I hope you have that he will actually do something he said he would do, or change the bigger picture, I should say. I think you're still holding on because the movement gave you community and a sense of purpose and new opportunities. So why would you destroy that, right? So I want to ask you a series of fairly simple questions. Who funds the left? Right? Where do they get their finances from for their organizations, for their protests, their counter-protests, their websites, even down to the signs that they hold? That all costs quite a bit of money. Now I know most of you will throw out your favorite boogeyman, George Soros, but who is George Soros? Who is he associated with? It's not just the left. Who funds the race-baiting media that perpetuates the leftist ideology? Who funds the entertainment that normalizes cultural Marxism and leftist values? Who finances the left's politicians? Who funds their campaigns? Well, you can find the answer to all these questions with a simple Google search of all things. And what you will see is that the same Zionist powers that fund your movement fund the left. Now I know most of you are going, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you fund two contradicting movements? It's very simple. Divide, weaken, rule. It's the Hegelian dialectic. You divide the masses amongst each other and get them arguing over stupid shit that doesn't change the bigger picture, like transgender bathrooms, thus limiting their potential to actually make a difference. Then you, the Zionist mega corporation or bank, sits back and waits for a movement, whatever movement, to gain the most momentum. And as that movement rises to power, so do you, because you fund both sides. So it doesn't matter who wins, regardless of who they are or what their rhetoric is, they're indebted to you, because you funded them to get to where they're at. So what you see with every president, and Trump's no different, they say one thing during the campaign to get elected, and you put your all into helping that movement because you probably thought it was a grassroots movement, but in reality, Cambridge Analytica was data mining the talking points that you wanted to hear, and Trump was simply repeating them.
Treated Trump like an e-commerce company, like a consumer tech company. All you do is you want to get attention and you want to get eyeballs and you want to get voters. That's what he did. Just doing simple targeting. Like, Trump was a very unique. We never had a candidate like him. So they used targeting. They found a way to get people on Facebook and Twitter. Then they evolved into this 100-person secret data center down in San Antonio, and they had data do everything. Data determined his schedule, his rallies, even what he spoke about in the rallies. So they knew.
Even what he spoke about at the rallies.
Yes. What did he do when he got in office? He did what his Zionist masters wanted him to do. This is not the deep state stifling Trump. This is Trump being a pawn or an actor of the deep state. He is bought and paid for by the deep state. This is not 4D chess. Trump is simply a pawn, an actor, a puppet. So to simplify, the self-proclaimed Zionists own the banks, the media, most of the major corporations, thus owning both the left and the right. Remember how Trump said in his campaign that Clinton was owned by Goldman Sachs and that she would appoint all of her Goldman Sachs buddies if she got in office?
The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors.
Well, Trump must be too, because what did he do as soon as he got in office? He appointed presidents and partners of Goldman Sachs to his cabinet. A lot of them. What happened to draining the swamp? Appointing representatives of mega corporations and banks is adding to the swamp. That is not draining the swamp. That is doing the same thing that every other president has done. I have a secret for you. The liberals are not the swamp. Who finances the liberals? Who gives them their money? You gotta cut the head off the snake. Cutting the tail off won't kill it. What about the wall? What happened to the wall? He said we're going to build the wall and Mexico was going to pay for it. That was ridiculous from the start. It's obvious that that was never going to happen. That was just a lie to tell you what you wanted to hear. Yet you guys still chant, build that wall. It'll never happen. And what about throwing crooked Hillary in jail?
Because you'd be in jail.
Anybody that does minimal research on her can link her to numerous heinous crimes worthy of going to jail. Yet Trump gives her a pass, even though he said he was going to throw her in jail. Why? He's been friends with the Clintons for 20 plus years. Just like he's friends with Silverstein, the guy who profited off 9/11. He's been friends with the Bushes for a couple decades. And he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted pedophile. Trump is not an outsider. Trump is an insider. Trump is a Hollywood guy. He's a real estate guy. And to be at the level of real estate he was at, that takes enormous cash flow. So you have to have good relations with the bank. This was just a giant WWE show that you guys fell for because Alex Jones told you he was an outsider. Guess what? Jones has blatant CIA connections as well.
Whenever I go to a family reunion, half the people in the room are former retired CIA.
What about his miraculous tax plan? That isn't happening. And his foreign policy is a complete and utter disaster. I don't know how anybody still trusts Trump after what we've seen go on with his foreign policy. And you say that was the deep state doing that? Trump has been in favor of the military complex since his campaign. Let me ask you guys a question. Why has Bush, Obama, and now Trump all followed the same Zionist Project for the New American Century hit list and clean break document? One was a neocon, one was a liberal, and one's a so-called outsider. No, they're actors, they're puppets. They don't care about you. They care about fulfilling what their debtors want. They care about making the people they're indebted to happy. They couldn't care less about you. And Trump absolutely ridiculed Obama for trying to go into Syria. He said we need to stay out of Syria. It'll bankrupt our country. What does he do as soon as he gets in office? Even before the gas attack, he puts boots on the ground in Syria. Then after the gas attack, he starts bombing them. To this day, we're still shooting down Syrian aircraft that are killing ISIS fighters. Assad is not the enemy. Assad is a Zionist enemy. He doesn't go along with the Zionist banking system, therefore he must be taken out. All Trump is doing is following the same Zionist hit list that Obama and Bush followed. There's no difference here. We're letting huge convoys of ISIS get away untouched, despite the fact that there's U.S. drones and attack helicopters in the area. I thought ISIS was enemy number one, Trump. I guess Assad's a bigger enemy to us than ISIS is. And Trump praised Iran before he got in office for killing ISIS.
But Assad is killing ISIS. Russia is killing ISIS. And Iran is killing ISIS.
As soon as he gets in office, what happens? Iran's enemy number one. Why? Because it's Zionist enemy number one. It's the last stronghold on that PNAC hit list. Why are we killing Iranian militia that are killing ISIS? That makes no sense. And I want to make one thing clear. No, I'm not saying it's the Jews. I'm saying it's the Zionists, the self-proclaimed Zionists. What is Zionism? Zionism is a Rothschild-created ideology. No, it does not mean wanting a nation-state of Israel. It means achieving the Greater Israel Project. Most of them call themselves Jewish, even though they're not really Jewish. DNA tests prove that Ashkenazi and Khazars are not the Hebrews of the Bible. But I digress. And what happened to ISIS being enemy number one? Maybe we should look into who created ISIS. Who's behind ISIS? Where did they get their weapons from? Where did they get their training from? What is the purpose of ISIS? Could it be to have perpetual war? A faceless enemy? And here's one of my personal favorites. Before he got into office, he criticized Obama for dumping money into NASA to go to Mars. He said he would use the money to build up our infrastructure before he spent a cent on going to Mars.
Space story. President Obama has been setting his sights on Mars, spending money to get the U.S. there. What would the Trump space program look like?
Well, I wouldn't be thinking about Mars. I'd be thinking about getting our country fixed first, okay? Before we worry about Mars, I'd be thinking about our infrastructure, our bridges that are falling down, our airports that are third world. You go to some of these places.
What does he do as soon as he gets in office? He gives $19.5 billion of your taxpayer money so NASA can send another rover to Mars. There's 4 of them already. So far, what we're seeing here is a new face, same game. If Trump wanted to be the best president ever, all he would have to do is abolish the Federal Reserve. But he doesn't. Now he loves the Federal Reserve. That should tell you something right there. And if he really cared about the people, why isn't he trying to get rid of GMOs and BPAs in our food? No, what he's doing is letting his buddies at Dow Chemical spray our food with neurotoxin pesticide.
Dow's chlorpyrifos pesticide was originally developed as a nerve gas by Nazi Germany. It's been sprayed on fruits and other crops for decades. And as a result, traces of the chemical have been found in sources of drinking water and, according to one university study, in 87% of umbilical cord blood samples.
Should I give this pen to Andrew? Dow Chemical. I think maybe, right?
When President Donald Trump signed an executive order in February aimed at rolling back government regulations, Dow Chemical CEO Andrew Liveris was by his side. Liveris is a close advisor to Trump, serving as the head of the White House's manufacturing working group. The company also wrote a $1 million check to help underwrite the inaugural festivities. When asked whether Dow's donations were meant to influence policy, Dow's director of public affairs said that any suggestion of that is, quote, completely off the mark.
Thanks, Trump. I challenge each and every one of you to look into Cambridge Analytics, look who's involved with that, and look into what it is, as well as look into the Council for National Policy. Look who's involved with that. So, to close this video out, I want to emphasize that we cannot put our trust in a puppet president to do anything for us. Only we the people can destroy the deep state. The deep state is not some faceless, unstoppable entity. The deep state is the mega corporations and the banks. And it is built upon a house of cards. All we have to do to beat it is stop participating in it. Stop participating in their propaganda. Stop participating in their mega corporations. And their house of cards will fall so quickly. Look out for each other, and you guys have a good one.